The slow, painful, greedy death of Angry Birds. Did you ever watch Angry Birds? Did you ever play Angry Birds? That was something I actually never played and never watched. I knew it existed, I knew it had a fan base, but I never played it.
Back in 2011, Angry Birds was everywhere. They had multiple different games, toys, and movies, generating hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wait. Multiple movies?
Different games, toys, and movies.
No, that's just
generating
one movie, okay.
hundreds of millions of dollars. But by 2019, they were firing masses of staff, and since then things have only gotten worse.
They are too? It had multiple movies? The first movie was good enough for there to be a second movie?
Perhaps it's just karma for stealing the initial idea. Angry Birds wasn't an original concept. In April 2009, a game was released named Crush the Castle, which required players to fire a trebuchet into wooden structure hiding medieval people. Well, 8 months later, in December 2009, game developer Rovio made an app named Angry Birds, which, while clearly being a rip-off, was better in every way. It had cooler, cleaner animated graphics, and different stages, each with different...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in the same genre of games, right? Like, obviously it could have been done a little bit different, but they apparently improved on all of it.
Levels. You got points for every enemy killed, and points for every bird you didn't use, giving players the chance to compete for high scores. Throw in 5 different birds with 5 different abilities, as well as a cool, catchy soundtrack, and it's easy to see that Angry Birds was better.
I just don't understand how there's an Angry Birds movie. Especially because it's basically just firing birds into, like, a building? Like, how's there a movie to this? How's there 2 movies?
They developed 51 games prior to Angry Birds, none of which saw even the smallest bit of success.
Bro, this is literally the case on keep shitting out things until something sticks. Oh my god. Hey, perseverance!
Therefore, when Angry Birds took only 2 months to become the #1 paid app in 60 countries, they understandably took the chance to milk it. Then make loads of different varieties like Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Space, and Angry Birds Star Wars, helping it become the #1 paid app in Apple's App Store with 6 to 7 million paid downloads. By the end of Angry Birds' first year, they'd made $10 million US, but players still demanded more. We have
What do you mean players
so many
demanded
fans
more?
who have asked for the plush toys, so these are going to be available in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I can see that people wanting plushies. Sure, I can
really
see
trying
that,
to build
yeah.
Angry Birds into this entertainment franchise. It took only 4 months before they'd announce 60,000 Angry Birds soft toys have been sold, as the game itself became the best-selling paid app of all time. Within Angry Birds itself, they'd implement microtransactions like Mighty Eagle, which allowed players to pay to clear entire levels, with
Pay to win!
celebs like Justin Bieber even advocating for it.
You think he got sponsored for that
Angry
one?
Birds made $100 million in 2011 and went from 28 employees in the beginning of the year to 224 employees by the end of 2011. 5 months later, they set a new world record. First mobile game series to reach 1 billion downloads.
Chet, do you play mobile games? Or at least did you used to play mobile games? Like, when I was younger, I played a little bit of Clash of Clans. I played, like, a Dragon Island game where you would, like, have dragon eggs and would breed them and all that. I don't know. I have since forgotten what it was called. What else? Dragon City? Maybe. Dragon City or Dragon Realm? Maybe. Let me look them up. It was not... No, it was Dragon Whale! I remember the icon! The red goofy dragon. Yeah, it was Dragon Whale. Jeez. Solitaire, Sudoku. Only board games adapted for smartphone multiplayers. I mean, I played, TFT a little bit on phone, right? Does that count? I mean, it's not really a mobile game in itself, but it's a game ported onto mobile. I don't know if that counts. Either way, I didn't play that many mobile games, personally.
Birds. They'd double their revenue again by the end of 2012, at which point they started to face
Oh, Flappy Birds. I mean, who hasn't played Flappy Birds, right?
a serious problem. The game was getting stale. They'd made multiple different Angry Birds versions, but hadn't changed the concept in over 3 years. As a result, in the following year, their profits more than halved, with Angry Birds falling to 59th in the App Store, forcing the franchise to try a new format. They'd release Angry Birds Go at the end of 2013, and while this was somewhat of a Mario Kart ripoff, people absolutely loved it.
So I mean, it's fun. It is good.
Would you look at that? People enjoy games that already exist.
Good fun. It looks good. It plays well.
Professional reviewers gave it 7.7, while people on Reddit called it their favorite Angry Birds game and perfection at its finest. Rovio therefore continued to experiment, releasing
What? A turn-based?
An RPG game named Angry Birds Epic, which again received incredible reviews reading, "The latest Angry Birds title is a welcome addition to a franchise, which hasn't seen much change since its inception back in 2009. Similarly, users said it might be the best RPG title I've ever played.
And honestly, a pretty solid time. I think the approach they went with here really worked and paid off.
The only problem was, these games didn't sell merch like the original Slingshot format. Therefore, merchandise sales plummeted, while total 2014 revenue dropped, and profits fell 73% to 10 million euros. As a result, media outlets reported, Rovio lays off 110 people as Angry Birds hype back.
So now they were from 220 something back down to 100. I mean, how many people do you really need to organize a mobile game, you know? You don't need that many people.
Representing 14% of the company's workforce. They tried
40%, okay, they were way bigger at that
to
point.
fix their decline with yet another experiment.
No, that's not Candy Crush, but I know this. This is another ripoff, I see.
Angry Birds Pop, which was pretty unsuccessful. In a Reddit thread asking out of all the Angry Birds games, which one do you think is the worst, Pop was mentioned many times over. Therefore, they'd go back to basics and put out Angry Birds 2, the official sequel, although many called it a downgrade from the original.
Damn. As a software developer, it ain't that easy. Okay, fair enough. To be fair, I'm not that informed on engineering, so that's my bad. I'll take the bad. I apologize. At the same time, they do have a lot of games as well.
The sequel was filled to the brim with microtransactions, clearly annoying the fanbase who wrote, "This is a very greedy game that keeps sucking money out of you. If you play well, the game becomes harder and harder until it's impossible, and then you
Is Angry Birds still on the App Store?
either have to replay each level 10 times or buy gems. The game is just trying to throw you off balance and get under your skin so that you pay more." The official IGN review said the game took significant steps backward for the massively popular series. Angry Birds 2 is missing key parts of what made previous games so universally compelling to gamers both hardcore and casual, young and old. Still, due to its intense monetization, Angry Birds 2 became their highest earning game. Surprisingly, however, that very same year, they'd announced losses of almost 15 million and would fire a further third of their workforce, this time being over 200 people. This seemed to imply that Angry Birds was dead until they'd make an unexpected comeback. Turns out they'd spent the previous 3 years privately developing the Angry Birds movie. At a cost of 73 million, they'd made a risky bet.
Okay, so did the movie flop or was it a good movie? Has anyone of you seen the movie? Is it good, chat? Because I trust your words more over some critics' word nowadays, right? Because we all know critics are paid. Was alright, liked it, mid. Everybody loves a good comeback story. Yeah, it's okay. It's a children's movie, it was okay. Second one is bad, alright.
But with a star-studded cast and a fun little story, the Angry Birds movie did surprisingly well. It made over 350 million from its 70 million budget and put Angry Birds back into the public spotlight. People began replaying their previously released games, while Angry Birds theme parks popped up in different countries.
What theme parks? Bro, this is literally someone just milking the shit out of something. Like, bro, come on. My friend's siblings liked it and they were like 6 or something. Oh wait.
Media outlets reported Rovio Games had its best year ever in 2016. However, the gaming releases that Angry Birds was known for was still
Last
declining in
Pop
quality. In his video, I played and
Evolution.
ranked every Angry Birds game so you don't have to.
It's a freaking tier list. There's a freaking tier list!
Jake Miller talks about Angry Birds Action,
Angry Birds Action was the start of using the new anthropomorphic designs from the movies in their games, which I think most fans agree was the real beginning of the end for the series.
which happened to be the first game after the movie. Similarly, in the Reddit thread asking about the worst Angry Birds game, one user implied it was most of them after the movie's
Every new
release.
game.
Said games included Angry Birds Fight, aka a Candy Crush ripoff, as well as
Oh,
Angry
there it
Birds
is.
Match, which was described as extremely bland. However, thankfully for Rovio, their older titles were still extremely popular, with Angry Birds 2's revenue growing 47%
Angry
in
Birds 2.
2018, despite it being over 3 years old. This gave them the budget to make a second movie. However, their $65 million
Actually, make a
bets
second
didn't
movie,
pay
yeah.
off so well this time. Forbes wrote Angry Birds 2 is worse than the original in nearly every way, whilst Rotten Tomatoes critics added, a distressingly ineffective sequel that grows less and less interesting and more tiresome as it unfolds. Still, the movie
Lovely.
made a profit of $82 million, right as the company was making
82 million profit though. They didn't make that much with the movie then. 73 plus marketing plus cinema cut, 50% plus taxes. I don't know how it's calculated though. The gross worldwide income, box office. I don't know how this money is calculated. Second movie was okay, but definitely not great at all.
some weird changes. Despite their older games being low maintenance, Rovio decided to completely stop updating them. Then, without explanation, some of the older beloved
Yeah, how is he gonna keep updating them if he keeps firing all of his employees?
titles, including the original Angry Birds,
Why are they for
were
money
deleted
now?
from the App Store. When people
Oh.
began to talk about what they'd done, people made compilations stating Angry Birds was dead. There were comments like, "Remember when Rovio actually cared?" whilst hashtag
No.
bring back 2012
Like, I'm sorry to tell you, but the guy never cared. He was non-stop making slop games one after another until one stuck. And most likely, the previous games that he made were also just rip-offs.
began to trend on Twitter.
You never
Things got
cared.
so bad that Rovio apologized, stating they only did it as maintaining the highest quality of updates and live operations isn't possible with our older games. In response to the backlash, that announced they planned on redeveloping Angry Birds Classic, which was re-released on the App Store in 2022, but at a price of $1.99 with no in-game purchases.
Right, so now you have to pay to play the original. Yeah, right.
They
What a
changed
joke.
Classic's name to Red's First Flight, making it harder to
Right.
find in the App Store, thus prompting players to buy the newer, more profitable games.
Oh, that's scummy.
This successfully fooled some people who struggled to find it on the App Store. However, others knew exactly what Angry Birds was doing. They got rid of the old ones so that you would have no other choice than to play the modern Candy Crush-esque games. They despised the games
Yeah.
that made the company and so lost its spirit.
Yeah, or how about we just don't play any of them anymore? Like, just because you deleted the old good games doesn't mean we're gonna play the new shit games. What the hell? Like, people are just gonna move on. Like, just download mod APK instead. True, you could also do that.
Rovio basically confirmed this, openly stating they changed the name due to the game's impact on our wider games portfolio. They further requested that fans continue to bring that passion to our live Angry Birds slingshot games, such as Angry Birds 2, however players weren't too happy. We
Yeah,
hope those
right.
fans can continue to bring that passion to our other games which have been designed to be more psychologically manipulative and start stuffed with more microtransactions.
True.
Fixed it for you.
Yeah.
The drama was so severe, it seemingly halted any
Bird
future
Island
games,
Journey.
as Angry Birds Classic is still the most recent title, released way back in 2022. In 2023, Rovio was sold to Sega, although this has
Wait,
done little
what?
to fix their reputation. One recent tweet expressed, "I very much still love Angry Birds. That
Right,
said,
you
the
do.
current state of it is dog shit. My hope for the franchise is at an all-time low right now. I'll just continue to enjoy what I love about it, but it's sad to see what it's become. Despite everything, Angry Birds isn't finished, as they just announced they're making a third movie,
No.
although with the rest of the franchise in decline, its performance might
No
be interesting."
way.
Back in
What do you mean they're making a third movie when the second one was already just passable? Bro, are you insane? Either way, so it comes to Chum, yeah. No, either way, this obviously is just, he's just trying to have a money cash grab stuff kind of thing. Jesus. Just get me out, man. Let it, like, move on. Snow White is gonna be the flop of the history. That's true. That is true. Nothing's gonna top that, to be fair. Sure, just move on. Just continue making other copied games, but let the Angry Birds IP rest. People are done with it. It's over. It's done. It's please move on. We're tired. The birds are tired. Let them rest. Let them rest, please.